Hello guys, Oroth here and a warm welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show a really cool dungeon build. It's similar to previous builds that we have showcased on this channel, but I've included some new essences. And what's so good about this build is that it has super high mobility, and there's might be also some hidden secrets here that we're going to look at that maybe you didn't know about before. So let us begin by taking a look at the skills. I'm using Magic Missile as primary attack, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not using the primary attack at all. I use Slow Time, I use Teleport, I use Lightning Nova, and I also use Arcane Wind. Let us also take a look at the set pieces I'm using. I'm using 2 pieces of Gloom, and here of course I have very high critical hit chance. If you have lower critical hit chance, maybe it's more reasonable to use 4 pieces of Gloom instead. I use 4 pieces of Angmet, and if I do some testing at the dummy, I actually make more damage if I use the Grace set, for example. But in dungeons, I think that the 4-piece effect from Angmets is really strong, so I will deal more damage in dungeons if I use the Angmet set instead. And on top of that, I also use 2 pieces of Vitus Surge. This is a staple for almost any build because it prolongs all the beneficial effects, including a lot of those from your legendary gems. So this is the set compilation I'm using. What's maybe most interesting to take a look at is the essences. And here you will recognize some of them, but you will also see some new additions that are very, very strong, and I'm going to explain to you why. So first of all, I use Terminus Facade. Maybe you know about it already, but let me just explain real quick. Whenever I use Slow Time, then it lets me reduce the cooldowns of other skills whenever I use a skill. So now, for example, when I use Lightning Nova and Arcane Wind, you can see that the cooldown on the teleport is going down whenever I use a skill. And that is thanks to this helmet. In the chest slot, I use Coat of the Astrum. And what it does is that whenever I use Nova, I get this wisp flying around. And this wisp will seek out enemies and attack them. And of course, I know that a lot of players, when they play in dungeons and things like this, they use a different chest. What they do is that they use the Isolated Storm. But the problem with this is that the range is very low, and the range with this chest is super high, and the damage is still good. So therefore I use this one. It's not a strong single target, but in a dungeon you will clear it a lot faster using this chest, in my opinion. In the shoulder slot we use Accursed Arrival. And what it says is that whenever I use Teleport, I will also increase the damage I deal with my skills for 4.8 seconds. And this will be up all the time, because when I'm using my skills, you can see I can teleport all the time. So yeah, this is basically a damage buff that is super strong, and this can only be used now since we are using the Teleport. In the Pant slot, we are using Fiery Revenge. And what it says is that Teleport is now imbued with fire, damaging and burning nearby enemies when you arrive at your target location. So sure, this is great. But what's even better, and this is maybe a secret that not everyone knows, if we go here to the skill page and then we click on Teleport, we can see that not only does this deal damage and inflict a burn, the cooldown of Teleport will also be reduced by 3 seconds whenever I hit the burning enemy. And the teleport itself will inflict the burn effect. So if I go here to the dummy now, and I'm only gonna use the teleport, whenever I use teleport, you can see that the remaining cooldown of the teleport, whenever I hit this burning dummy, will actually be reduced by 3 seconds. And what does that mean? Yeah, it means that we can use teleport more often, and it also means that we can spam the other skills more often, because when we reduce the cooldown of teleport, we can use it more often, which will lead to more uses of the other skills as well. So it's like a double positive effect. And thanks to this, I can have so many of these wisps up at the same time. And of course, the mobility of this build is therefore also crazy. And I am often able to outdamage anyone else in a dungeon, because it's not only about dealing a lot of damage, it's also about getting to the enemies as fast as possible. And to be honest, this build is crazy in that regard. So I can spam the teleport and just dash through the dungeon like a maniac, and it's super, super nice. And of course, I know that not everyone likes to play these spam builds. I have released other builds as well where you don't have to spam as much. But if you want to clear dungeons as fast as possible, this is an excellent build for that purpose. In the main end slot I use Missile Rend, and what it says is that Arcane Wind now unleashes a condensed Arcane Vortex that bounces between you and multiple enemies, damaging and slowing them. Enemies already slowed will become immobilized. And of course this deals a lot of damage, and it's also an AoE attack because it will bounce between the enemies. But what it also will do is that it ensures that I will constantly activate my damage done to enemies suffering loss of control affixes. Of course this does not work on the boss, but it will work on anything else. So also very, very strong for this build. In the first offense slot I use Blood of the Wind, and what it says is that Arcane Wind deals 38% more damage when igniting a firestorm. This is also very good, and one of the reasons why Agmet also works very good with this build, because I will constantly have burn on all the targets. This means that whenever I use Arcane Wind it will deal a lot more damage. So yeah, it's a great damage buff. In the second main end slot I use Radiant Splines, and what it says is that when Lightning Nova deals a critical hit, it emits a charged bolt that deals some extra damage. And this is also an AoE effect that cannot happen more than once every second, but this also helps me to clear groups of mobs a lot faster, so very, very strong as well. And finally I use Frenetic Spark just to reduce the cooldown. I don't have capped cooldown on Lightning Nova without this offhand right now. So yeah, this is just good because when we can reduce the cooldowns further, it means that we can also spam a lot more. So try to cap your cooldown if possible. The cap is at 30%, and if you do so, you will be able to spam the skills even faster. Of course, we can also take a look at my legendary gems. I use Blood-Soaked Jade. It's a solid gem. I use Roiling Consequence, one of the best gems of course. I use Bottled Hope, Pain Clasp, Fervent Fang. I use Morn Skull, I use Spectre Glass, and I also use Colossus Engine. And the Colossus Engine is super strong for this build because all of my damage, almost all of it, will be from skills. So very, very strong. If you don't have all of these gems, you can of course swap in Berserker's Eye or Entropic Well or something else. So there are many options, but this is my favorite setup for this specific build. We can also take a look at the Reforges I'm using. This is my optimal PvE Reforge set that also works very well for PvP for many builds. So it's damage done to enemies suffering loss of control, damage done to demons, attack speed, duration of beneficial effects, and critical hit damage. I will not be able to activate the family bonus consistently with this build because I'm gonna use skills all the time, but yeah, the effects here are still that good, so it doesn't really matter. I would still go for this setup probably. Let us of course also take a look at the Paragon settings I'm using. I use the Harbinger, and I use Blur, Ambush, Honed Steel, Fate, and I also use Quickstep. This is very, very strong for this build because I will be able to dash all the time, and this will give me 30% increased damage, and it will also give me 20% increased critical hit chance. This is also one of the reasons why maybe 4 Pieces of Gloom is not necessary, because it won't stack with this effect. And if you have low critical hit chance, you use 4 Pieces of Gloom, then you don't need to use Honed Steel. Then you can use something else from this tree. So just keep that in mind. So now we have looked at the setup of this build. Now let us see how it performs in some live action. And let's look at a couple of dungeons. So here we find ourselves in Mad King's Breach. And what I always do is that I instantly activate slow time when I enter a dungeon, and then I can just start the spamming and dashing to get through the dungeon as fast as possible. And as you will see very soon, I'm able to outpace almost anyone using this build. So even if you're lower resonance, thanks to your high mobility, you can dash ahead and you will deal the most damage and be the most impactful player in the party when you are playing dungeons. So that's very good. And yeah, I also just think it's a very fun build to play. This reminds me a lot of this guy in Guardians of the Galaxy that has this wand that's flying around, but with this build we will have tons of those wands, and it's really crazy. And you can also see here that the damage output is really high with this build. And here I can just dash up here without any competition whatsoever, just clear everything. And many of the runs when I play dungeons, it's almost like playing solo, because I will be so far ahead of my teammates so that they will not even have the chance to hit anything before I'm finished. Make sure that you don't use any skills without slow time active. I made a little mistake earlier in this run where I forgot to click slow time, and then I'm out of cooldowns. So yeah, it's very straightforward. You just have to make sure that slow time is up, and then you can spam your skills as much as possible. And if you want to clear the dungeons as fast as possible, then you just dash forward. You can skip the mobs, you don't have to kill everything. You just want to get to the next boss as fast as possible. If you're making a pre-made party, make sure that everyone uses a build with high mobility, because you don't want to wait for people before starting an elevator or something like this. So that's also very important. So that was Mad King's Breach. Now let us also take a look at Cavern of Echoes, of course. And yeah, I don't think I have to say that much more about this build. I think it's clear that it's very strong and it's very viable. You have to spam a lot of buttons, and that might be a little bit annoying, but at the same time you get so much out of it. You get to win almost all the DPS meters in every run, and you can also clear it faster, which means that you can do more dungeons every hour, so you will get more drops. You will just perform better overall. What's also good with it is that it's very similar to the PvP build that I'm using, so if you don't like to have that many different types of builds for different types of content, this is also good, because maybe you're used to this playstyle if you also use my build for PvP. And when you're used to playing something with very high mobility, then it's really annoying to play something a lot slower, so yeah, that's also nice. So we're approaching the end of this dungeon. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions about this build, please let me know in the comments. As I mentioned in my previous video about legendary gems, I made a video about all the 1-star gems. I will soon release all the 2-star gems and all the 5-star gems as well. But I also have some very, very exciting news coming up for this channel. I'm not allowed to say anything yet, but it's going to be really, really cool. So please stay tuned, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. And until next time, I want to wish you a very nice day or a very nice evening wherever you are. And to all of my clan members in Nyx, I would of course also like to say Voruk Nyx, Sholak Sol. So bye bye!
Guess who's back with some brand new content? Hit the bell button, maybe leave a comment. Oroth with the swagger, wanna see his game. Teach you all the secrets, it will be insane. Guess who's back with a brand new lesson? He will have the answer if you have a question. Oroth invites you to his awesome tribe. No more time to waste, it's time to hit subscribe. 1, 2, 3 is the man of our affection. 4, 5, 6 only aiming for perfection. 7, 8, 9 he is 10 out of 10. Subscribe and you will never miss a video again.